Hello, Central Methodist friends and family. Our last weekly story time for a while is today. And I know if you're coming on live, you're thinking, well, you're a little bit early today, and that's okay. If you don't come on to Facebook until tonight, then it'll still be on time. But I thought that we would do our last official pandemic story time in a different location, especially one that matches up so nicely with the title of our book today. For the past year, we've been trying to do some outreach. We've been trying to promote literacy and maybe even going back down memory lane for some of our adults. And we've been taking books that are in the world, that are secular and in the world, and looking at some of these stories, some classic, some new, and how God can be found working even within those secular books. But we're going to end on one that is full of, I hope, a sense of hope for you all, and one that is just absolutely beautiful and appropriate for this being Holy Week as we head toward Easter. And the title of today's book is The Garden, the Curtain, and the Cross. And I have to praise and give props to our children's minister, Keisha Sight. She is the one who spotted this and snagged it. She said, we've got to have that for our collection, and I'm so glad that she did. She does a wonderful job, and I'm sure that we will be discerning different ways to do outreach, hopefully that are going to start involving coming back onto our church campus within the next little bit. So thank you, Keisha, for finding this book. So let us go ahead and get started with our Holy Week story time. The Garden, the Curtain, and the Cross. A very long time ago, right here in this world, there was a garden. In the garden, everything was wonderful. The world was full of laughing and playing and smiling and fun. There was nothing bad, ever. There was no one sad, ever. And best of all, God was there. He had made it all. He was in charge of it all. He loved it all. People could see God and speak to God and just enjoy being with God. It was wonderful. It was wonderful to live with God. And I'll let you read the little chats. Hello, Adam. Hello, Eve. Eve, God's here. He wants to walk with us again. How cool is that? Yay, I bet it's going to be even more amazing than yesterday. It was wonderful to live with God, but then one day, the people did a terrible thing. They decided they didn't want to do what God said. They decided they wanted a world without God in charge. God calls this sin. Sin spoils things. So sin has no place in God's wonderful garden. God said to the people, you can't live with me in my garden anymore. And he sent them outside. To show the people they had to stay outside, God put some warrior angels in front of the garden. The angels were like a big keep out sign. Now, things were sometimes bad, and people were sometimes sad, but people still kept sinning because they didn't want God to be in charge. So no one could come into God's wonderful place. God said, because of your sin, you can't come in. It's going to get better. God wanted people to remember it is wonderful to live with him, but because of your sin, you can't come in. So he told the people to build a special building called his temple, where he would live. In the middle of the temple was the most wonderful place in the world, the place where God was, with nothing bad and nothing sad. It was very exciting. But then God told people to put a big curtain around this wonderful place. The curtain had pictures of warrior angels on it. It was a big keep out sign. For hundreds of years, the temple curtain reminded people that God said, "It is wonderful to live with him, but because of your sin, you can't come in." Babies become grown-ups and had babies. And those babies became grown-ups and had babies. And those babies became grown-ups and had babies. Hundreds of summers and winters passed by, and the keep-out curtain stayed in the temple. Then one day, God the Son came to live in this world as a person. Jesus always did what God said. Jesus never sinned. And Jesus visited the temple where the keep-out curtain hung. Jesus said that God had sent him to open the way back to God's wonderful place, where there would be nothing bad and no one sad. And Jesus knew that things were sometimes bad and sometimes sad. And that's why he was going to be the way back. But people still didn't want to let God be in charge, so they decided to put Jesus on a cross to die. It was the most bad thing that had ever happened. It was the most sad day of all time. But Jesus had a plan. He had always planned to die on the cross. What a strange plan. Why would God's Son plan to die? On the cross, Jesus took our sin, all the bad things we do and all the sad things they cause. Jesus took them all from us. And when he did, something amazing, astonishing, astounding happened. This picture is definitely unique. The curtain tore. God had ripped up the keep out sign. God's wonderful place is open again. Because Jesus died, we can go in. After Jesus died, his friends put him in a tomb. They were very sad. For 2 days, nothing happened. Then the next morning, Jesus' friends went to see his body in the tomb. And it wasn't there. A little later on, Jesus' friends were all together. And suddenly, Jesus was there, alive. Suddenly, his friends weren't sad. Now they were so happy. God had brought Jesus back to life so that he could live in God's wonderful place forever. And Jesus has sent everyone an invitation to come and live with him there too. He tells us, God says it is wonderful to live with him. Because of your sin, you can't come in. But I died on the cross to take your sin. So all my friends can now come in. Just about finished. We can live with God forever. There will be nothing bad and no one sad. We will see God and speak to God and just enjoy being with God just as he planned. It will be wonderful to live with him, and it's all because of Jesus. We will say every day, "Thank you, King Jesus. You're amazing." And you can start saying that today. The end and amen. And I want you to think about this image. I'm going to show it to you one more time. I want you to think about that image. Whether you're 2 to 92, somewhere in between, not yet a glimmer in your parents' eye, or have passed on. Jesus wants all of us to run to his arms, and he's made everything right again. It is my prayer, and I know that the rest of our staff would say the same, that you and your family have a very blessed rest of this Holy Week and a blessed Easter Sunday, that you always remember to be Easter people. What does that mean? That means that we understand the reconciliation because of the garden, the tearing of the curtain, and the work Jesus did on the cross for all our days, and the light and the hope that Jesus' resurrection meant and means for all of us. We love you, bless you, and we will see you again soon. Thank y'all.